Now we're going to talk about parasites that cause us problems. And to do this, we need to look at the vocab word parasitology, which is the study of our eukaryotic parasites. And there's two types. There's the protozoa that are unicellular and animal-like, and then there's the helminths, which are the parasitic worms. And these cause about 20% of all infectious diseases, but they're less prevalent in industrialized countries. We see more of them starting to appear in our AIDS patients. The major protozoic pathogens, again, these are the ones that are one cell. They are animal-like. And there's about 100,000 species, and 25 of these are very important pathogens. Most of them are going to show some sort of motility. The life cycles vary a lot. Usually, they're propagated by a simple asexual cell division of this trophozoite, which is the feeding cell. And a lot of them undergo formation of a cyst, and then others, their life cycle is much more complex, and they have asexual and sexual phases. There's four major groups: the amoeboid, the ciliated, the flagellated, and the ampicomplexan protozoa. Now, this table shows the major pathogenic protozoa. And I want you to notice the disease and the organ system that's primarily infected, and also the reservoir or the source of the protozoan. Down at the bottom, it tells us that a lot of times the flagellates are named in honor of their discoverers, or the geographic location where you find them, or a certain characteristic of the organism. And the signs and symptoms can be observed throughout the body, but usually the initial infection is restricted to a single organ or an organ system. Now, there's three groups of amoebas: the entamoeba, Naegleria, and acanthamoeba. The entamoeba histolytica, this alternates between the large motile trophozoite, the feeding stage, and the smaller non-motile cyst. The trophozoite has a very large nucleus like you see here, and it doesn't have many other organelles. And the mature cyst, like you see here, is going to have a very thin wall, and it's going to have 4 nuclei, and then it's going to have these bodies that are called chromatoidals, which are just dense clusters of ribosomes. The epidemiology of amoebiasis, humans are the main host. We swallow the cyst, and then they get to the small intestine, and because of the alkaline pH and digestive juices, this stimulates the cyst to release 4 trophozoites, and then those attach and multiply, and they actively move about and feed in our small intestines. Usually patients, 90% of them are asymptomatic. The amoeba can secrete enzymes that start to dissolve tissues and go deeper into the layers of our mucosa, and it'll cause dysentery, abdominal pain, diarrhea, weight loss, and 10% of the world population carries this. And I think, as you can see, it erodes your small intestine. It's pretty horrible. To control it, it's important to control, because if it's severe, there's a 10% fatality rate. You can hemorrhage, you can have perforations, appendicitis, or tumor-like growths, and it can even go to your liver and your lung. So to initially diagnose it, they're going to do a microscopic examination of a fecal smear to see if there are any trophozoites or cysts. And if it's found, they're going to give you an antiprotozoan drug regimen. Sometimes amoeba get into the brain. This is called Naegleria fowleri. Acanthamoeba also causes it, and you usually find these in standing water. You can get acute meningoencephalitis through nasal contact with water or traumatic eye damage. And if it gets into your brain, it is fatal. So Entamoeba histolytica primarily invades what? Small intestine.